to National Animal Rights Day 2024 at Dobson Ranch Park in Mesa, Arizona. My name is Michelle Lunsky. I'm a local educator and activist, and I will be conducting the ceremony today. I'd like to begin by sharing a statement about our venue location. The city of Mesa acknowledges that we gather on the homeland of the Native people and their ancestors who have inhabited this landscape from time immemorial to present day. This landscape is sacred and reflects cultural values central to the Orodan and the Pipash way of life and their self-definition. This acknowledgement demonstrates our commitment to work in partnership with ancestral indigenous communities to foster understanding, appreciation, and respect for this heritage. Not dissimilar to the violence, murder, and mistreatment of millions of indigenous peoples here on Turtle Island, we are here to commemorate and honor the innumerable animal lives taken by the same hands of boundless greed, arrogance, and unrighteous dominion. Take a moment to look around you. Observe how many have gathered here today. Some of you might be thinking, wow, there are so many of us. While others might be thinking, wow, there are not enough of us. Let me remind you that the vast majority of the individuals here today would not have been here 10 years ago, 3 years ago, or perhaps even 1 year ago. 5 years ago, on a beautiful autumn morning, I ventured out of my apartment in Beisajan, Pudong to go shopping at one of the local markets. At the intersection of the Chuanyang River and the Xianan Road Bridge, I came upon a woman surrounded by birds. Chickens, stuffed in a large trash bag, obscured but for their desperate squawking. Doves crammed inside a cage in a 3D Tetris formation. And a lone mallard duck, whose clipped wings and bound feet indicated his prisoner status. I knelt down so as to closely inspect the animals. With translation assistance, I informed the woman that the birds were in need of veterinary care. To this, she frowned in annoyance, saying something in Mandarin that I was too timid to translate. My eyes searched for clues until they found the cleaver by her side, contrasted against the blue tarp, which sustained the scene. Then I understood. What use was a doctor to the condemned? I locked eyes with the mallard. Through his gaze, I fell into a black hole of fear and terror. Bloody images of decapitated bodies mixed with shrieking feathers tormented our momentarily singular mind. My spirit sank at the thought of this bird, this person, being slaughtered for something as trivial as the shia tofu, or blood pudding, I had sampled and subsequently thrown away only weeks before. It was in that infinite moment of connection that I decided I could never partake of an animal's flesh again. Many of you have had similar experiences that unlocked a long-forgotten empathy for our fellow earthlings. Trillions of lives are extinguished every year, thousands every hour, but not before suffering intense psychological and physical pain. The loss of non-human lives is too many to count, too many to comprehend. We are here today to remember and honor the multitude of individuals killed. Our ceremony today will include a memorial during which you will hear from several inspiring members of our community, have the opportunity to sign the Declaration of Animal Rights, and take part in a visualization exercise. Thank you all for being here today and speaking up for our animal friends. I would like to invite Andrea, Diaz, Balabuszko to the podium to begin our ceremony.
For the past 13 years, National Animal Rights Day has acknowledged the suffering of non-human animals at the hands of humans. And despite heavy pushback, my fellow NARD Phoenix organizers and myself find it imperative to take a moment, just a moment, to include those who were killed during human conflicts, past and present. For the last 8 months, we have witnessed what can only be described as a genocide in real time in Palestine, where countless non-human animals and 40,000 humans have been murdered. Our advocacy efforts often include animals who are considered commodities by big business, but there are also so many more who are killed due to governmental conflicts. Our fellow earthlings, human and non-human, continue to be innocent bystanders to violence that is rooted in oppression, bigotry, and colonialism. As animal activists who are proponents of justice, equality, and compassion, I implore you all to denounce any and all forms of oppression, because when we say none are free until all are free, we mean it. At this moment, I would like you to bow your heads and close your eyes if it feels safe, and join us in a moment of silence for all of those who have been killed during the current genocides in Palestine, Sudan, Congo, and every place where any innocent lives are being stolen for capitalistic or political gain. Thank you for opening up your hearts, minds, and sharing space with us. Our first presenter will read the Declaration of Animal Rights, which we'll be signing alongside 160 cities around the world today. Reading the Declaration is a local animal rights activist and Direct Action Everywhere organizer. She has been a significant force behind the Phoenix activism community for many years and a great friend to many. She has been a proponent for collective liberation and continues to dedicate a great amount of time and energy to our dear animal friends, human and non-human. Please welcome Druthy Setty.
Since the dawn of humanity, there remains a group so persistently abused and marginalized that their suffering is ingrained in our everyday lives. If animals could freely talk, their chorus of cries would drown out every other sound in the world. We are all animals. We are all living, breathing beings who share the same earth. We all feel pain and suffer when we are hurt or deprived of our lives, our families, our freedom. We all have the right to experience kindness, compassion, and dignity. We believe in the kinship of all beings and the possibility of us to coexist in peace and harmony on planet Earth. Considering that all living beings on planet Earth came originally from the same source and follow the same evolutionary principles, considering that all living beings on planet Earth inhabit the same lands, seas, and air, and therefore share them and their resources to live within and live off of, comprising one ecological system. Considering that all living beings possess the same basic needs: to survive, to seek happiness and pleasure and avoid pain, to live comfortably, to procreate, create families and other social structures. Considering that all living beings, as known to humankind, are sentient beings and therefore can feel pain, pleasure, sensations, feelings, and emotions. Considering that human species is only one of the millions of animals and comprise a minute minority in numbers compared to the billions of animals living on this planet, we hereby proclaim that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all beings are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of their happiness. All animals have the right to be free and live their lives on their own terms as intended by nature. Animals are not property or commodity to humans and are not theirs to use for their benefits or sustenance. Therefore, they are to be free from slavery, exploitation, oppression, victimization, brutality, abuse, and any other treatment that disregards their safety, own free will, and dignity. They should not be slaughtered for food, killed for their skin, experimented on, killed for religious purpose, used or forced labor, abused and killed for sport or entertainment, abused for commercial profit, hunted, exterminated for human pleasure, need, or other ends. Humans shall do whatever is within their means to protect all animals. Any animal who is dependent on a human has the right to proper sustenance and care, and shall not be neglected, abandoned, or killed. All animals who have died must be treated with respect and dignity as humans are.
Ceremony. And our first speaker today is an incredible force in the animal rescue world. She founded Goats with Horns Animal Sanctuary and has housed some animal people who many of us knew dearly and loved, who we'd like to honor very briefly, including Gibby, his sister Gabby, Mr. McFuffy, Snowy, Rose, and Angel. Sanctuary is some of the hardest and most thankless work in our movement, so we're extremely grateful for our next speaker and her team for saving so many lives and raising awareness for our animal friends every day. Please welcome Michelle Lukasiewicz.
I'm going to be the first to tell you I don't watch the documentaries. I can't. It lives too much in my head, and I can't get out of my own depression if I live there. This reminds me of the very first time I realized what went on in the world, and it was ironically outside of a Los Angeles zoo where vivisection was being protested. Didn't know. I'm like 18. I'm like at a zoo for Pete's sake, and I'm like, what is vivisection? Sure enough, I go down that rabbit hole and I find out what vivisection is. Opens up every door that I can imagine, and to this day, there's still things that I find out that is happening to animals that I'm just really, I can't believe it. But however you got here, thank you for getting here. We all have our own story. I know that, you all do everything to help. There's so much we can do, whether it's helping at a sanctuary, donating to organizations that support animal rights, getting your boots on the ground, doing chalkism. There is so many things we could do, and all of it matters, and all of it is important, and we need to do it together. Whatever you're doing something phenomenal. And remember that when you look to the person next to you, whatever they're doing is just as good as what you're doing. And we all need each other. If not, we're not going to be able to do anything to help the animals. My name is Michelle, sorry. I own Goats with Horns Animal Sanctuary in Gilbert, Arizona. You'd like to come back and feed the animals, meet the animals, get some therapy. It's very healing there. You need this as animal rights activists. You need the healing. And that's what my property can offer you, is the healing that you need after you've gone out and been on dairy vigils and done so many of those things. This is a safe place for everybody. And I welcome you all to come back after this and make it part of your community, because it is a community. And I welcome you all. I am going to talk specifically about Esperanza and Suerte, who are my two black-bellied Barbados sheep. They are sheep. They look like goats. They have hair. People think they're goats. They're not. So about 4 years ago, December, I got a call from a gentleman who said, hey, I have two goats here. One's dying, and she just gave birth to another goat. I said, okay. He said, can you take the baby goat? I said, well, kind of tell me what's going on here, sir. Well, we're in El Mirage, and my friend raises these animals for meat, and the girl is really sick, the mama, and he's going to feed her to the dog tomorrow. Can you take the baby? I was like, oh, Lord. Okay. I am a payroll person. December is the worst time of the year for me. I am working 12, 16 hours. I physically could not do this. So I reached out to my group. I said, hey, guys, there's this really sick female goat. I'm still thinking it's a goat. And her baby, and they need rescuing. Who wants to help? All hands in. I said, you guys have got to understand, not only are you going to pick up this goat, you're going to have to bottle feed that baby for 6 months. I can't do it. So I need a community here. I need you people to come and step up. All of them stepped up. Went out to El Mirage, rescued the mama and the baby. It was a meat market, an illegal meat market. These 30 black-bellied Barbados sheep were kept in about 15 by 15 cage, filthy, dirty. The mom had had a prolapsed uterus, dragging on the ground in feces, dirt, mud, urine. When I called my vet and said, here's what I'm doing, she said, we're going to have to put the mom to sleep. I said, probably. I said, but we need to take both. I'm not just taking the baby, I'm taking both. She goes, okay, I will be there. So she comes, 7 o'clock at night, they come over, and my vet looks at her, and her uterus is hanging on the ground, dragging in the dirt. There it is. And her little baby, who's maybe a day or two old, is, screaming, wanting mom. So she goes ahead and cleanses the uterus, hot water, and takes her temperature and said, you know what, she's not even septic. She's not even having she has no like inflammation, there's nothing the matter with this sheep. She goes, I'm going to go ahead and amputate her uterus, put it back in there, and see what happens. I'm like, great, let's do that. Okay. She does that. We take the baby because the baby obviously needs to be bottle fed. And I'm really concerned about the baby, right? The baby's a couple days old. I'm like, needs colostrum. Most of the milk you're going to find, the bottle feed does not have that in it. So I talked to my vet. My vet comes back a couple days later. She goes, you know what? As sick as that mama was, she nursed that baby with her colostrum, and he's going to be fine. Even though her uterus is dragging on the ground, she nursed him. So he had his first start in life. And then they're both there, and they're amazing. They are sweet. Ironically, Esperanza, who is the mom who went through all of this, is the sweetest sheep you will meet and loves people. Thank you everyone for coming and listening to me ramble.
So our next speaker could not be here in person today, but a fellow NART organizer, Max, will be reading his speech on his behalf. Dr. Sailesh Rao is a local environmental researcher who founded the Climate Healers Organization. As the executive producer of several well-known documentaries, you may have heard of them: Cowspiracy, What the Hell, They're Trying to Kill Us, A Prayer for Compassion, and Cowspiracy. He has dedicated his life to helping solve the very pressing climate crisis. So on behalf of Dr. Rao, please welcome Max.
Friends, this is Sailesh Rao of Climate Healers. I am an environmentalist by occupation, but a systems engineer by profession. I see the world through this systems engineering lens, and I am alarmed at what is going on. Global warming has now accelerated to the point where every month since June of 2023 has broken the temperature record for that month. June 2023 was the hottest June ever. July 2023 was the hottest July ever. August 2023 was the hottest August ever, and so on, month after month, until May 2024 was the hottest May ever in recorded history. In December 2023, over 200 health journals called on the United Nations, political leaders, and health professionals to recognize that the various environmental crises we face today are truly one indivisible crisis and must be tackled together to preserve health and avoid catastrophe. They wrote that this overall environmental crisis is now so severe as to be a global health emergency. In order to understand why the world has reached this global health emergency, may we recall that in a BBC Radio 4 program in 2013, Dr. Gus Speth, a modern American environmental hero, was quoted as saying, "I'm used to think the top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that with 30 years of good science, we could address these problems. I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with these, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation, and we scientists don't know how to do that. Of course, we scientists do know that the first step is to tell the truth. The truth is that when we go vegan, we help solve the top environmental problems that Dr. Speth mentioned: biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. That's the power we have as individuals to reverse our existential crisis. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of ecological destruction because it uses 37% of the ice-free land area of the planet just to graze animals, while bottom trawling an area of the ocean floor the size of South America every year for industrial fishing. Animal agriculture is the only major activity in which we destroy forests and replace them, not with other trees for timber or paper, but with grass, which drastically reduces the diversity of life that the land can support. Animal agriculture is the primary reason why humans have reduced the number of trees on the planet by half, from 6 trillion to 3 trillion over the past 10,000 years. Restoring those 3 trillion trees can draw down enough carbon to completely reverse climate change. I repeat, we can completely reverse climate change if the world goes vegan. animal agriculture is grossly inefficient because animals must eat 39 pounds of plants to produce 1 pound of human food on average, a burden which the world can no longer afford. By going vegan, we can give nearly 40% of the ice-free land area of the planet, as well as the entire ocean, back to nature. When we restore the native ecosystems on that land, we can grow most of the 3 trillion trees that we cut down over the past 10,000 years. This helps resolve all our environmental problems. This truth is not what we hear from our leading climate spokespeople. All we hear from them is the burning of fossil fuels. We don't hear from them about the human folly of exploiting animals, that is animal agriculture. When you factor in the potential carbon absorption of the forest and land cleared for animal agriculture, you find, with any honest accounting, as I published in a peer-reviewed paper, that animal agriculture is responsible for at least 87% of greenhouse gases on an annual basis. When I made that calculation, I did not include the respiration of farm animals. I did not include the bottom trawling of the oceans by industrial fishing. I did not include the carbon released by pasture maintenance fires set annually on grazing lands around the world. I did not include the loss of phytoplankton populations and sea forests due to industrial fishing. I did not include those factors mainly because they haven't been reliably assessed due to a futile attempt by the climate establishment to shade the truth. But it seems clear to me that if we could estimate these factors and include them in the calculation, we would find that animal agriculture is responsible for, wait for it, well over 100% of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. Now that sounds unbelievable. How could it possibly be responsible for more than 100%? Because the evidence points to the possibility that the Earth will start cooling in a vegan world, even if we continue to conduct all our other activities as we do today. The cessation of animal agriculture will result in healthy oceans, healthy forests, and healthy soils. And if we want to reverse climate change, then we must adopt a strategy that can draw down greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Healthy oceans and sea forests can do that. Healthy soils and trees can do that. Solar panels and electric cars cannot. Now, I am not a supporter of the fossil fuel industry. Far from it. It is my engineering assessment that we must wean ourselves off fossil fuels gradually. But we burn fossil fuels to heat and cool our homes, to transport ourselves, to manufacture goods, to ship goods. These are all social goods. What social good comes from animal agriculture? Nothing. Only obesity, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, biodiversity destruction, soil depletion, fouling of our waterways, antibiotic resistance, dangerous and dehumanizing work, animal cruelty, climate catastrophe, world hunger, and let's not forget pandemics. Indeed, there is nothing that will not improve when we end the cruelty and folly of exploiting animals. I have just given you the intellectual reasons to go vegan, but lasting change comes not from the head, but from the heart. In that regard, I have made a pinky promise to our granddaughter, Kimaya, that the world will go largely vegan by 2026, which is the year we will have killed almost all the wild animals if we don't change course. We must change course. Friends, with your help, we will change course and keep this sacred promise for all the children of the world. Thank you for all that you do from the bottom of my heart.
Jade Au, owner of Seed Shack, has been offering incredible vegan food in the Valley since 2017 and has been a major supporter for our local animal rights community for many years. Through immense dedication to the cause, Seed Shack has been one of the few businesses that made it through the pandemic years, and we're also thankful for that. She also supplied a lot of the fantastic food that you'll be enjoying today, so please join me in welcoming Jade Au.
It's my honor to be here with you all who are committed to making a difference in the world, one compassionate choice at a time. I'm not sure if you've ever eaten at Seed Shack. It's a vegan restaurant I established in 2017. about 7 years ago. Back then, me and my sister built everything from scratch, from our own saving. We didn't even have any soft or grand opening. So basically, nobody knows because we don't have anybody. We opened our door with only one staff plus the two of us. I work in a social worker field. My sister Tang is an environmental engineer and also a hairdresser. We both keep our jobs to support the business, and we still are. But thanks to the countless of supporters, the business survived through the pandemic years. I would like to share a few stories that and acknowledge a few individuals that helped me in the process. The decision to open a vegan restaurant with zero experience was not just a business venture for me. It was a moral imperative. I've never worked in a restaurant a single day in my life before I'm owning one. So it was my way of taking a stand against the cruelty and injustice that permeate our food system. It was my way of offering people a choice to eat in alignment with their values, and a choice to make a positive impact on the world. Shortly after Seed Shack opens, we encounter a major maintenance challenge regarding our gas pipe. With little cash flow and we are already over budgeting, we couldn't afford to repair the pipe. The landlord wouldn't help. This gentleman, a customer of ours, which I briefly met, he offered his service for free, and he says you don't have to pay me. You just pay me food just to make me feel better, or else I'm like, no, I cannot accept that. I have other company quote me almost 2,000 on the project. So for the past few years afterwards, every now and then, Thanksgiving, I'll call him to remind him to come to eat. You need to cash out your work. Until recent years, he disappeared. So he's one of those silent hero that's offer everything, and then he doesn't want any recognitions. There's one customers. I also receive unlimited support from other business owner. I just want to name a few. David from Giving Tree. Before he had Giving Tree, I contacted him. He drove from Sedona and helped me to set up my kitchen because I have no clue what I'm doing with the health departments and everything, the fire department, everything. So he helped me to set up my kitchen. Cassie from Pomegranate Cafe, now Hungry Bunny, gave me so much advice on training, hiring. Ingrid from the Community Cuisine. There's a couple times during summer, most equipment breaks very easily. And then that's when you know that's oh, we're out of these items. We don't have that. And she'll just altruistically come to my kitchen. You can borrow my food processor till you get one. Vitamix, anything you need. Patricia from Pizza Heaven, made from Chong Thai food. And I would like to give a very heartfelt special thanks to Dr. Sailesh Rao. When my cash flow is broken, he connected me with business resources that help me, so I don't have to do a loan on my names. I don't have to close my door. And he's one of those person that always give me emotional support. I'm I cannot do it anymore. He's just no, you have to do it because there's so many people that want to that can give an arm and a limb just to be exchanged in your place because you can. At Seed Shack, we share more than food. We serve a vision of a better world. A world where animals are treated with respect and dignity, where their lives are valued as much as our own. Every bite of our dish is a celebration of life, a celebration that doesn't come at the expense of other beings suffering. I thank each and one of you to be a part of this movement, whether you choose to support a vegan business, participate in activism, or simply have conversation with friends and family about the ethical implication of our food choices. Your contribution matters. We are not alone. In face of the many challenges, I'm reminded of the words of Margaret Mead. She said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, the only thing that ever has." There were countless of times I was about to quit. Closing our door is easy, but keep grinding on with the little resources, it is what makes the tiny difference in my neighborhood. At least that's what I think. If I can do my part, so can you. Each and every one of us has the power to make a difference, to speak out for those who cannot speak for themselves, to stand up for what is right, and to create a more passionate world for the future generation. I rejoice for everyone here to pledge yourself to this noble cause. Let us continue to educate, inspire, and advocate for change. Together, we can build understanding, empathy, and we work together to create a world. Thank you again for your courage, compassion, and your commitment to the movement. And again, we're not alone. We're a big group, so it's like there's many people I haven't recognized their name, but we are there for each other. Thank you.
So our last speaker for the 14th annual NARD is an animal rights activist from California. In addition to Druthy and many others here, he's been instrumental in keeping the Phoenix activism community going since he moved here, having participated in hundreds of protests, demonstrations, and his own The Truth outreach events at First Fridays in downtown Phoenix. He's been a staple in every community that he joins. Please welcome Johnny Mora.
Hi, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, my name is Johnny Mora, and for those of you that don't know me, a few years back I transplanted here from California, where I've lived my entire life. Back there, before I was vegan, I was pretty active. I was living a martial arts lifestyle. I ate clean and healthy. And in my early 40s, I was finally making good choices. Yet I still had hereditary high cholesterol. My doctors insisted I get on pills, of course. My family was concerned, yet I was dismissive. Until I was introduced to a documentary, What the Health. It shook me so much, this documentary, that I walked over to my fridge and threw out all of my grass-fed meats and my wild caught fish and all of my free-range eggs and the cartons of milk, of course, with the little happy cow on it. And I thought at that point, well, this is easy. Then I thought, well, what am I going to eat? So I buried my face in Google and sought ways to replicate all my favorite dishes. And I was determined to become a student of plant-based culinary cuisine. But then I came across footage I did not expect. Slaughter footage, animal abuse, reels and footage of blatant animal cruelty. I was overwhelmed with confusion and questions and anger. And I thought, well, this only happens in third world countries, right? Am I the only person that's seen this? Is anybody doing something about it? Are there other people that think and feel the same way that I do? I was overwhelmed. I found an event on Facebook that was going on for the weekend where people were holding screens and wearing strange masks. So I thought I'd give it a shot, and I marked going. I was apprehensive at first because this group might be thought of as extreme. And of course, I indulged in all the worst case scenarios of violence and getting arrested and all that stuff. Yet I summoned the courage and made the trip in hopes I could find answers. Maybe I'll hear some logic that'll justify to me these horrible things I had seen. Secretly, I was hoping I could discredit what I already knew to be true. I showed up and put on the mask and held the screen silently. I listened to activists talking to the public for 2 full hours. I held that screen without a break, tears rolling down my face, forcing myself not to scream in defense of these animals. At the end of the action, I took that mask off and I was a completely different person. I didn't care about my cholesterol or replicating flavors or dishes or my health or anything else but the animals. At that moment, I knew I had a voice, and I was going to use it at any cost because I knew the truth. And I was going to rub people the wrong way, my family, my friends, strangers, and I did not care. That was 7 years ago, and as they say, the rest is history. So instead, I became a student of the animal liberation movement. I studied activists of past and present. Through social media platforms, I watched in awe as enraged activists forcibly stopped trucks of dog meat traders in Korea. I also intently watched city council meetings in random cities where activists stated their cases to local politicians regarding horse racing and other forms of animal exploitation. I participated in email campaigns and made phone calls to elected officials. I admired the solemn beauty of vigils for dolphins and whales held in captivity their whole lives. I watched, of course, in frustration as violence was inflicted on hunt saboteurs in Europe and Australia by men mounted on horses playing illegal games in the countryside as their purebred army of dogs chased down foxes only to be torn apart while their thugs slashed tires and beat up courageous activists. My resolve grew stronger. PETA, Anonymous for the Voiceless, Animal Save, DXE, Animal Alliance Network, NARD. I was empowered by all of these groups of animal liberation organizations, and with my reduced cholesterol, I set forth to be a part of this social justice movement. But I'm only human. I work. I have family. I like to relax and have fun and not be so serious. Then I got backlash on my radically different posts. I started to overthink about what actions or groups were more effective. Still, I went to any action I possibly could. I met amazing activists. I got in the trenches with them. I didn't let anxiety and doubt control me. Protests, disruptions, leafletting, marches, demonstrations, vigils. I showed up. I began to understand that no matter how different all these events were, they are all needed to achieve a vegan world. They're effective when they all work together. But more importantly, they're effective when we show up. Locally, we have a DXE chapter, a strong PETA presence, as well as Eradicate Speciesism, and also independent organizers that fight the good fight here. I urge you, take a couple hours a month, every 3 months. Make time to support your local activist group. It is not the most comfortable thing, I know. And there are many other things that we would rather be doing with our own personal time. But by making the time, it allows us to gain traction, and more people will show up because of it. The animals need us. And you'll feel good knowing that you're speaking up for these victims. We all can be at the forefront of this social justice movement that will see the end of animal exploitation in all of its facets forever. Thank you.
So our final presenter is a professor at the Barrett Honors College of Arizona State University. With a passion for writing, she challenges the speciesist mentalities of her students every day. In addition to this, she has been a hardcore animal rights activist and also a rock star. Dr. Barca is the lead singer for the anti-oppression punk band Scarlet Rescue, which we'll be fortunate enough to hear a live performance from later today during the celebration. At ASU, she encourages her students to see a world where animal suffering doesn't exist, and she will do the same for us here now. Please welcome Dr. Lisa Barca with a very special vegan visualization practice.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's so beautiful to look out and see the faces of humans who feel in their hearts, who see the truth of these beautiful beings that we share this planet with. It can be challenging sometimes to find the courage and the strength to continue speaking out for them, to continue everything that we can do to open the eyes of others so that they see this truth as well. We have courage. We're here today. That's evidence of that. And we have compassion and deep knowing that lives in our hearts and emanates out into the world and can affect change. Sometimes without even saying a word. And other times speaking up when that is needed. Let's all take a moment to first celebrate the fact that we're all here gathered today, and then to visualize the fruits of our compassion, the fruits of our work, the fruits of our efforts to create a non-violent, truly just, post-speciesist world. It's possible. It's so possible. I invite everyone to just take a deep breath for a moment. Center in on your heart, on that precious energy that lives inside of you, that lives inside all of us, that lives inside all of them. And imagine the world that we are creating right now. Right now, we are creating it. A world where birds can fly through the air, all of them, free, unafraid of human violence and tyranny, where there are no more cages, there are no laboratories where we use these beings in the name of so-called science. We've evolved beyond that. We've evolved beyond that. Free living animals roam the restored forests and woods, all the forests and woods that we will be able to restore and regenerate when the wasteful, useless, destructive structures of animal agriculture are abolished. I have so much land. Just imagine it, so much land. It won't take long to regenerate it. Our animal friends are free, living on their ancestral lands, with their families, practicing their life ways of their species. We can make it happen. We are making it happen. All those currently imprisoned in these systems will be released to sanctuaries. We'll have plenty of room and resources now that all this space and wasted money is freed up and withdrawn from this tyrannical, nonsensical system. We'll have all the space and resources we need to take care of those who need to be taken care of, to allow to go free those who are able to go free. And their descendants will know a world where humans live with them as co-inhabitants, not as captors, not as tyrants, not as owners. Nobody owns anybody in this world. Slaughterhouses razed to the ground. We can plant gardens on that site, or perhaps convert some of them into museums, educational museums where we pay homage to the countless victims of that system. So we never forget. So we never forget and we never repeat our mistakes. This world is possible. It exists. It already exists in our minds and in our imaginations. So take a moment. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or just keep them open. And really try to feel in your body, with all of your senses, what that world will be like.
I want to live in that world. I'm willing to fight for that world. And I hope you are too. I think a lot of us are. And I hope more will join us. And lastly, thank you to our participants and attendees for being here and being a voice for the voiceless.
It's all I've ever wanted. Liberation for the animals. Liberation, 'cause we are all animals. We're all animals. Go on, be brave. Go out there and make history and bring justice to my life, love. Bring justice to the lives lost. 'Cause every day they will try to convince you that humane murder is justified. But believe me, I don't want to die. But I'm at your mercy. And you are the difference. Be the voices of the silence. And the silence stop the violence. And organize, mobilize. Speak up for the defenseless. Without you, we're defenseless.